there's a case, there's a trial. It just ended. And I think it may qualify for trial of the century. I know that's premature to say, but I don't know. I think it's pretty incredible. The trial of Young Thug just ended. Now, if you don't know who Young Thug is, he's a rapper. It's not a dog whistle this time, all right? Young Thug is a rapper that was on trial in Fulton County in Georgia, right? Basically, the state's case, what they were alleging was that he took all of the money that he made from music and he funneled it through and to a gang called YSL, a gang that he was supposedly the leader of, right?
Mr. Sledge, are you a part of a gang called YSL?
YSL is not a gang.
I am asking you specifically, are you a part, or have you ever been a part of a gang called YSL?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
And I asked you and told you YSL is not a gang.
And that's the state's case. And the judge in the case looked exhausted. I've never seen a judge act like this before. Every time the court camera cut to her, her head was in her hands. I'm not gonna act like I know the law, okay? My understanding of the law sort of begins and ends with Law and Order SVU, all right? So I know you can sustain, and you can object. I've never heard a judge be like, you can't do that. She said it a lot.
And you also need to completely disregard that anybody other than this witness right here, Mr. Sledge, might have pled to anything that had to do with that drive-by shooting, all right? So just entirely erase that from your minds. And I also, at this point, am going to admonish and rebuke you, Miss Love, to pay careful attention to how you ask questions and what you put before the jury. You should not have put that factual rendition before the jury as anything that this witness admitted to at the time of the 2027 guilty plea. And I'm going to instruct you to refrain from asking improper questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
And now the prosecution in the case, the prosecutor had given out a lot of plea deals. Ton of plea deals. More plea deals than I thought you could give out. I didn't have a number in my head, but this felt like an egregious amount of plea deals. It just felt like she was going to the hood like, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea deal, you get a plea. She was basically giving a plea deal to everybody in Georgia but Young Thug, right?
And so he does have knowledge of that. He knows about the case. He knows that Mr. Williams is alleged in this indictment and by the state's narrative to be the head of this YSL organization. And he knows that the plea agreements have been to the benefit of the co-defendants who have pled and to the detriment of Mr. Williams.
And every other defendant still on trial.
Well, but he also knows, as I asked him one question about, was he in court when he heard the statement that was made by the prosecutor before the plea, made by the prosecutor. It was Miss Lizzie Rosenwasser at the time, where the statement was made that we're interested in anyone who wants to make a deal, except Mr. Williams. We're willing to make a deal. And so he knows this. We're not doing this in the blind.
And she was given these plea deals in return for their cooperation, their testimony that she would use to piece by piece paint the bigger picture that the state was alleging that Young Thug's the leader of YSL. Everything they do is by his direction. All his money goes through and to them, right? And the only problem is the prosecutor in this case gave plea deals to some of the least helpful people in human history, all right? I've never seen people less helpful than this. It was astoundingly unhelpful. I was helping my friend move one time. And he and I had to move a pool table, just us, downstairs. And our third friend was there at the bottom of the stairs just watching. And even he was more helpful than anyone that the prosecutor gave a plea deal to in this case. At least he could be like, watch your step, something.
Was the lawyer for your friend, Mr. Kendrick, here in court with you on December 28th, 2022? You can answer first, and I will let you explain. But I need you to answer yes or no.
But could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child or something? I'm not your child.
You are not.
You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. All them guys over here. So if you would have came to me and asked me this, I'd have told you the same thing. What if they was in my face or not in my face? I'm not scared of them or you.
I don't want you to be.
Well, that's what you acting like it. That's what you acting like you trying to paint.
So do you want me to bring my voice down? And I apologize
Don't
if it
holler at
sounds
me,
like
I
I'm
ain't your
yelling.
child. Could I take a break? Y'all in the car.
No, we've had so many breaks this
Yeah,
morning.
'cause
We really need to get through this.
I'm gonna tell you about some of the testimony. I'm gonna need you to be patient with me because a lot of the dudes testified in this trial are going by their rapper name and they haven't made it yet. So I don't know why it's spelled like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Just I'm gonna say he for short, all right? There's one dude that was on the stand, right? And prosecutor asked him a very specific question, a very specific reason. She goes, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, right? Now, Rich Homie Quan is also a rapper who has sadly passed away. But his friend, to the best of my knowledge, allegedly, is a gang member, right? This whole question is to paint Young Thug as a leader of a gang. That's why he would have a problem with a different gang member coming to his party, right? So the prosecutor asked, did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party? And then this guy on the stand goes, Thug, did you have an issue with Rich Homie Quan?
Yes, no, I don't recall. Did Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing members of this gang to his apartment?
Thug, did you have an issue with Rich Homie?
I'm asking you for what you told the police.
Never in the history of court have I seen someone ask a question by the prosecution and then go, I'll just go to the source. And so then the prosecutor goes, no, I'm asking you. Did Young Thug have an issue with Rich Homie Quan bringing his friend to the party, all right? And then this guy goes, I'm not Young Thug, so I don't know. Moments later, the prosecutor's asking question after question after question, all alleging the same thing, all to the same end, right? And this dude, he's not being combative. He's not even being rude. He's just not being helpful. And so then the prosecutor pulls up, I don't know if she pulled up it exactly, but basically references his plea deal where she goes, I have right here you answering questions definitively that I'm asking you right now. And then this guy on the stand goes, y'all wrote that, I just signed it.
Is it your testimony today that the portion that reads he gave YSL Associates money to lay low is false?
Yes, that's false.
Mr. Sledge, do you have any recollection of asking
Well, what I would say, the word, you used the word lay low. I would have used the word to get family members out of harm's way. That's what I would have used. If I'd have gave you this, that's what I would have said. I wouldn't have said he gave us money to lay low.
Is it your testimony that you did not send those words to the state through your lawyer? Is that your testimony today? I try to get my lawyer to change this because my words was to get out of harm's way. I don't know how I still became lay low. My words and the notes that my lawyer took down, it was to get me and my family out of harm's way because on January the 10th, I was accused of the murder.
Never in the history of court, at least that I know of, and it's like, you know, the internet especially was of two minds because it was like people could not decide if these were like some of the dumbest people who had ever lived or legal masterminds. Because basically what this dude is saying in open court, right, is, look, you were about to give me how many years? I didn't want to do how many years, and you told me if I signed the paper, I wouldn't do how many years, right? So I signed the paper, but I'm not about to perjure myself. This dude was supposed to be on the stand for 3 hours. 3 days later. The prosecution is asking question after question after question, all to the same end, right? And, you know, references again. Look, I understand that we typed it up, but what is in this is based off of what you said to the police. This is based off of testimony you gave during interrogation. And he was like, yeah, but if you gave it to me to type up, it would say something different than what you have right there, right now. Even the prosecutor was like, oh. Question after question after question after question. And finally, this dude, he doesn't snap exactly. He doesn't lose it, right? I think he just gets exhausted. And finally, he says, look, I'll tell you what I told the police. I'll say anything. Like...
And I'm answering you. I just told you several times. I tell the police anything.
This is a witness for the prosecution. It's absolutely insane. The whole case is insane because you even look at the fact that the case had 3 different judges. Yeah. Got passed off like a bad baton. First judge was Judge, I don't know how to pronounce the name. I think it's Glanville, yeah. And this judge, he does seem to suck. Like, he does. But he also had to put up with some stuff too because there were jurors that were fully out of pocket during this case. Just a couple of examples. There was one juror that got picked. It already took nearly a year, by the way, to pick a jury, which is insane. And then after they picked the jury, there's one juror that during the trial has started, and I think they just went to the Dominican Republic.
When did you book your travel for the Dominican Republic?
So that was also a business trip from a partnership, and that travel was, I think it was booked like the 29th, but it's been on my calendar
of
since
December?
the 1st. I didn't book it. The admin booked it for that particular.
Hold on 1 minute. You know, I have a document that may assist the court with that information.
Deputies got sent to their house, were knocking on the door and everything, and then they got back, and they had to appear in court, and the judge was like, you have to be here to be on the jury. And they were like, every day? That sounds wildly inconvenient. Then, judge was ready to, hold this juror in contempt and was basically giving them an out because this judge in particular loved contempt. He had a lot of contempt. The entire trial full of contempt. And gave the juror a way out. He was like, look, I could send you to jail, I could fine you, but what I'm gonna have you do instead is write me a 30-page paper on the importance of being a juror. This dude sentenced her to APA style. He sentenced her to citing sources.
Contempt is punishable easily by a fine of $1,000 and or 20 days in jail. I am not going to fine you. I'm going to, well, first, madam, did you attend college?
Yes.
You have a 4-year degree?
Yes, Southern Tech, yes.
Say again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What I then want to do is, in order for you to satisfy your contempt, I'm going to commute the 20 days and require you to write a 30-page paper on the importance of jury service. Here's the criteria. You'll have to do APA style. You're going to have to use at least 10 primary sources, 10 secondary sources. You'll talk in a minimum, and I'll write this in the order.
Oh, okay.
You'll have an order. You'll have it before you leave here today. You're gonna write at a minimum, the history of jury service, who could not serve on a jury, because that's very important, because years ago, people that look like us couldn't serve on juries. It was prohibited. I want you to talk about jury service in Georgia and discrimination, at a minimum, those 4 things, okay? And you can talk about anything else you want to, in that regard.
You couldn't see his face in the moment, but even Thug was like, damn. That's cruel and unusual. I've never heard of that before. There was another juror that admittedly, I don't even know what happened with this person, but I know that they got in trouble for live streaming the case. Which is extra crazy because it was being live streamed. Like, if you had been watching at home, you would just see them sit with the jury like. You risk jail time for an extra angle. We are.
Why shouldn't I hold you in willful contempt?
Okay, so I'm gonna explain everything that happened that day on the 17th of March.
Okay, but before then, do you recall this court giving you the ad nauseum admonitions about acceptable behavior?
About having phones out?
Yes.
At the moment when we came in.
Didn't I tell you to turn your phone off?
It was, I'm gonna be truthfully and very honest. When it was a lot going on, we had just come from different
Answer
floors.
my question first, and then you can explain it. Do you recall us telling you to turn off your cell phones?
Yes, sir.
Judge Glanville, oof. There was a lot of plea deals being given out the entire case, like I said before, and some of the things that were happening was this is me guessing, but there were people that were not being super forthcoming, that they probably didn't necessarily have to be, but they were in some sort of trouble, and so the plea deal was just given just as an extra. It's okay, you can talk. We just need to get this guy, right? And even with that, there were still people that didn't quite want to testify. And then there were people that were being so difficult, state's witnesses who were being so difficult that the state just could not get anywhere, you know? And there was one person, star witness. Basically, the prosecution needed a through line. They needed something that would connect everything. And so they laid a lot of it on one person in particular. Okay? And they needed his testimony so bad that they pretty much gave him immunity on the stand. I didn't even know you could do that. It sounds made up. It sounds fake. I feel like he thought it was fake too, because he was like, immunity on, so if I say something on the stand, answering one of your questions, and it implicates Thug, but it also implicates me, I'm okay? Yeah, you're okay, you have immunity. Immunity on the stand, you're gonna be good. You sure? Yeah, you're gonna be good. Okay, I'm not even joking. He goes, okay. Okay, but what if it's federal? And I love that. I love a good haggle. I love, like, okay, I hear immunity, but can I get a federal? Can I get some federal? Federal, please. Can I get a little federal?
So going back to the shooting at the gambling house, when you learned that Shell Kell was the one who shot up Thug's vehicle, did you and Shell Kell squash your beef when the two of you met at the Cascade skating rink?
Nothing I say could be used in no courtroom?
That is correct.
Federal or state?
Is that the parameters of the immunity or?
Nothing can be used.
Correct.
And what your question was?
When you and Shell Kell met at the Cascade skating rink, did the two of you shake hands and say that the beef was over when y'all met at the Cascade skating rink?
I put a gun out on him.
At the Cascade skating rink?
Cascade skating rink.
Okay.
Oh, it's beautiful. This dude gets all the stab, and you can tell he doesn't trust it. You can tell he's like, nah, they're up to something. Doesn't want to answer any questions, but we told you have immunity. All right. Basically compelling this man to testify, you know, dangling immunity in his face. Sits on the stand. First question from a prosecutor, how old are you? And he goes, grown. And the prosecutor's like, what do you mean by grown? It's like, I'm an adult. Prosecutor is like, okay, seeing as you're an adult, how many years is that? And then he goes, looks over at the judge. I plead the fifth.
All right, let's just go through it right quick, okay? I just want to make sure that you understand where you are, and you have your attorney here. And if you have questions of the court or your counsel, you can go ahead and do that, okay? All right? You have to answer yes or no, sir.
All right.
Okay, all right. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to do anything other than explain this to you, all right?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Mr. Copeland, this order reads basically, the state of Georgia has moved the court pursuant to this particular statute, which is 24-5-507, to compel your testimony, and our district attorney, Ms. Willis, having determined that your testimony is materially as necessary to the public interest. And that is, and if you take a look at the footnote, sir, I'm sure your attorney's probably explained this to you that.
And Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am,
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters of jury deliberation, please? From
Truly incredible work. Truly phenomenal, you know? They would be asking them lots of questions, you know? Question after question. And it was getting frustrating for the prosecution. It was getting frustrating for the judge because, look, maybe I'm doing my best to be as fair as possible, but when you watch a case like this, it does just seem like if you're a defendant, you're up against two parties. You're up against the prosecution and you're up against the judge, because everything in this case kept giving the prosecution chances, even when they would mess up. Because once again, they're not being given a lot with testimony, but there are things that they have in hard evidence. They're just not bringing them all together to make it cohesive, right? And then this star witness's testimony is not helping. So then, can't stress this enough, you cannot do this. Judge Glanville supposedly has a secret meeting with the witness and the prosecution, but not Young Thug's lawyers, right? It's something in Latin that I don't know how to pronounce, but you're not supposed to do it. I mean,
I was told, based upon information and belief, that when we arrived at 8:30, 9 o'clock today, we did not come into your courtroom until almost 11:30. And what I found out just recently, this is not waived, is that supposedly in chambers, this honorable court reporter at times, honorable court at times, district attorney or district attorneys from the DA's office, as well as investigators, sheriff deputies, Mr. Copeland and his counsel met together. None of the defense team, to my knowledge, was aware that this was going on.